Shall we go into the actual podcast?
Yes, let's do that. Right.
Right, here we go. So,
Let's talk Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur, indeed. Boom. Right, we're back. So, Bulbasaur. Do you have any personal memories of Bulbasaur as a Pokemon?
I mean, definitely. I have played with a lot of Bulbasaur in my time. And because I had obviously Pokemon Red and Blue. And with Red and Blue, I didn't just like pick a starter and then play it through once. Like I played those games a lot. Um, and I did the same with Fire Red and Leaf Green when they came out,
Mm-hmm.
where I just replayed them and replayed them and replayed them. At least once for each starter. So I have a lot of fond memories of Bulbasaur that all kind of like blur into one with all of the other Pokemon I had in those games. I do remember it is true that a Bulbasaur is the easier one to start with because obviously it has an advantage over Brock's gym and it has an advantage over Misty's gym. And then it doesn't have a disadvantage at Lieutenant Surge's gym. Um, so in that respect, the first three gyms, Bulbasaur is the one you want on your team.
Mm-hmm.
And also getting Leech Seed as quite an absorb at quite an early level. I feel like having those damage dealing but also um HP restoring moves is a massive boon.
Mm-hmm.
And it was those moves that first made me think about strategy at all because I was 100% a like the kind of kid who just taught my Pokemon the highest damage dealing moves. Um, yeah, point in the chat, most Pokemon are water type. There are more water type Pokemon than any other type, which means having a grass type is from an early point is always an advantage. So yeah, I've played a lot with Bulbasaur. I do remember like by the end of by the time it's fully evolved being and I feel like this is something that I probably felt with all of the starter final evolutions, being a little bit disappointed that it wasn't as dope in the game as it was in the anime. But we can talk about that when we get to the Venusaur bit.
Yeah.
But no, I do like a Bulbasaur.
Yeah. I mean, Bulbasaur is potentially my favourite.
Cool.
So I'm just going to very quickly get the opening screen back up just to show people, the waiting one. Nothing's gone wrong. But in the image that we picked, so you've got like a Gloom there, and I've got a Gloom there, and you've got a Crobat there, and like Crobat's one of your favourites, but and Gloom is like one of my favourites, but I was originally thinking about picking a Bulbasaur or a Venusaur for that image, but I decided ultimately against it because I felt like because Bulbasaur is like so iconic, being one of the starters. I felt like if it was you with a Crobat versus me with a Bulbasaur, it potentially told a different story than I wanted to tell with that image. I didn't want for people to look at it and then be like, oh, he's got a Bulbasaur, therefore that's like the protagonist of this podcast. But like I really I'm like really connected to Bulbasaur to the point where
Yeah.
that could have been the image for the podcast. And part of the reason why, and I'll probably go into this with the Venusaur with the Venusaur bit, is I've got a full base set, fossil set, and jungle set of cards. And my favourite one, yes. That's something that we're going to do as well in the Patreon. Is if you become a Patreon, we're going to have ideas for additional content that you can potentially vote on, such as we've discussed about doing myself versus Kirsty, like video game streams, and us going into more obscure Pokemon games and the Pokemon trading card game, which again, if any of those sound interesting to you, feel free to join the Patreon, and we're going to be looking at that. And if we do a trading card spin-off, as it were, as like exclusive content, I would be able to talk about that at length. But bring myself back, Venusaur was my favourite one, and I was well known for having a Venusaur card, which I think is like quite a rare one. I can't remember many other people from when I was that age having a Venusaur card. To the point where when I was a kid, like, I would be offered trades for that Venusaur quite a lot. And because I was known for not trading it, because it was my favourite, I would increasingly get better and better trades for it, until I eventually relented and then got seller's remorse, if that is a thing, and then eventually traded for it back.
Oh, bless you.
So
I
yeah,
hope they didn't rip you off when you had to get it back. They weren't like, give me something even better for it.
nah, it weren't. Sylvester Stallone in Rocky selling his dog type of story. So yes, so
That's cool. I don't think I have many connections to the trading card game in the same way I do to the video game. I had a bunch of cards and I used them, but like I never properly learned how to play. So I'm looking forward throughout this show to like you schooling me on the trading card game consistently. I'm looking forward to learning the things that passed me by.
I personally think that the trading card game is amazing. It's like, it's so well done, and I think that they've translated it into a card game. I mean, I like board games anyway, but they've like translated it into a board game stroke card game like so well that I mean, that's the thing. I mean, my trading card collection is worth nothing because I like played the game back in the day. Whereas what I should have done was get them graded.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe Logan Paul could have my Venusaur around his neck as he entered into WrestleMania. But one can dream.
I feel like your Venusaur can do better than Logan Paul.
It definitely can. It can definitely do better than. I mean, you only have to ask that shiny Gyarados card that I got for it.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's how the trading card game does shinies. But the next thing that we had on the thing that we were going to have a look at is the Pokedex entries for Bulbasaur. So I'm going to read you out some Pokedex entries. See what you make of them. So okay, so Bulbasaur has a strange seed was planted on its back at birth. The plant sprouts and grows with this Pokemon, which to me says that there are some Bulbasaurs that don't have bulbs.
Because like you see, I do love the fan art of Bulbasaur where they have like different types of flowers and different. There's like, people will do like a pumpkin one for Halloween and stuff. I really like those. I think they're really cute. I do think that like a regional variant of Bulbasaur with different types of plants on it would be a really great addition to the game. And I don't think they would because they usually don't mess with starters, with the exception of giving all of the final evolutions for Pokemon Legends Arceus a different type. However, I think that would be a really cool thing to do because I think it fits with like the Pokemon lore because evolution as it exists in the real world, as in animals having the same common ancestors, is canon in Pokemon as well as the version of Pokemon evolution that absolutely does not exist in the real world. So I think it would be really cool because obviously you've got, you know, Diglett and Wiglet, and they're like saying in the Pokedex entries they're not related. They might be distantly related for another reason, but they are not the same species of Pokemon. They don't evolve into each other the same way that Pokemon evolve into its next stage evolution. And I feel like having like a regional variant of Bulbasaur using that logic with the different types of flowers would just be dead cute.
Mm.
I feel like that's the kind of thing that would suit like maybe a different style of game, not like turn-based battle system, but something where like the different types of flowers are more relevant. Like if they made the berry collecting element of Pokemon a more developed thing, like they sort of did in kind of Generation 3.
Mm.
Um, I could see, the different types of Bulbasaur being relevant in there or something. Um, and I just enjoy it because I feel like it also would kind of tie into the show because one of the things that kind of frustrated me my entire life is that obviously a lot more exciting things happened in the show than happened in the games because and it's as an adult I understand like you have to come up with a new story for each episode of the show, but if that much detail went into creating the games would take forever to make. They're already rushed as they are looking at the last couple of generations, and it would just be impossible. But I really liked the kind of the Bulbasaur gathering in the show. I think Bulbasaur's whole like narrative arc is really cute in the show. Um, because obviously Bulbasaur was first seen with that breeder, and Bulbasaur wanted to go with Ash and the gang, but wanted to battle Ash first, wanted to prove that Ash was good enough to train it, which I liked. I thought that showed a lot of character for, a creature that can say one word.
Mm.
Um, and I felt like that was a really strong start to introduce Ash's Bulbasaur in particular. And then the episode where they meet the other Bulbasaur felt almost mythological, the way they're all being drawn to the same place at the same time. And I really would have liked seeing something like that in the games
Yeah.
because I feel like that would have been like a cool climactic moment that was not necessarily based on battling,
Mm.
because that's what I liked about the show. I think that there were a lot of really exciting things that weren't just about battling, that there was a bit of in the games, but not loads,
Mm.
especially in the early generation.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be a really cool thing to maybe factor into maybe a remake,
Mm.
maybe a new game entirely with just like a little field of Bulbasaur
Yeah.
would be very cute.
They have gotten much better at integrating those kind of elements, but I think for me, feel like from what you were just saying, it's I think that there's a feeling that they never went far enough, in terms of
Mm.
incorporating that. It feels odd that they've never gone. I mean, I don't know. Feel free to say you are wrong in the chat, but like take some of the anime writers and the game writers and mesh them together and take some of the ideas and kind of cross pollinate it a little bit more. So you could have maybe that the Bulbasaur garden
Yeah.
that you actually do, and if you have a Bulbasaur stroke Ivysaur stroke Venusaur on your party, you can like unlock that thing. Or if you had a Charmander on your party,
Ooh.
you unlock the the train. You find out that like it was a previous trainer's, like maybe like like 3 or 4 like cities in, and then you've got to like battle them. But yeah, I feel like they definitely could have gone further with that type of thing.
Yeah. And I think they have more scope to do that now that um, game technology has advanced a long way. I'm not surprised they didn't do it with obviously the first generation of
Mm.
games. I think probably the first remake they could have. I think with the Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu remakes, they probably could have, but I think they were more focused on the catching and the overworld sprites. Those were the two kind of gimmicks of
Yeah.
that generation, which is fine. Um, but I think I've been saying I would like Pokemon to do more in the games with its story, um, outside of the battling for a long time. And I don't know why I keep saying it because I feel like they're just not going to.
Yeah. I mean, they did. I feel like they did do elements of it in Sword and Shield. I mean, we've chatted about it before.
Yeah.
You know, like when, like the one that pops to my mind is the grass gym, um,
Mm.
where you've got to round up Wooloo in the stadium before you can have the battle. So they have the capacity to do it, but they, for some reason, do not.
I think this is one of those things where I think they know that people want it. So it's like Sun and Moon, there was the trial before every gym battle that you had to do. And I think that was really well received. And then um, in the most recent generation in Scarlet and Violet, there's kind of a thing you have to do, but like they're not very well fleshed out. And I think this is my issue with Scarlet and Violet. You can tell that they've got all of the right ideas, they just don't have enough time or resources, or I don't know what it is that's holding them back, but they're not giving themselves enough of something in order to flesh it out to its full potential. And I think I really enjoyed Scarlet and Violet because I kind of filled in the gaps myself a little bit with what I wanted it to be. But there is part of me that's like, I can see what this game should have been.
Mm.
And I think they did the similar thing, like where you have to go and play hide and seek with the Sunflora before you do one of the gyms, one of the early gyms. And it's like, oh, cool, so there's going to be more of this stuff. And then it kind of peters out quite quickly, unfortunately.
Well, um, well, we've got some more Bulbasaur Pokedex facts for you. Um,
Yeah, we went off on some tangents there, but that's okay because they were mostly Bulbasaur related. Let's have some more Pokedex entries.
so it can go for days without eating. In fact, I'm just going to get this up on the screen instead of having people having to look at my face. Um, so, um, so a strange seed was planted on its back at birth. In fact, we just did that one. We can't afford to go on another 10-minute tangent, right? Um, it can go for days without eating a single morsel. In the bulb on its back, it stores energy, which implies it's somewhat like a camel.
Yeah, it's like a camel that has chlorophyll in a way.
Yeah,
Like I assume it's sort of fed on sunlight. I assume a lot of I know you see them eating actual food in the show, but I assume that grass Pokemon can live off sunlight, even if it's not their only source of nutrition.
yeah. Oh, I mean that's one other thing as well. Again, um, like I'm saying it now, like all my brain, like weirdly, all my mind is going, don't tell Kirsty this. You've already told Kirsty this, but I haven't told the wider world this. Um, I often pick the grass starter, and that's another reason why like Bulbasaur is like one of my boys. But it's because I feel like if you like, there's so many water types as was mentioned in the chat before.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like if you get a fire starter, it almost feels like you're very likely to create like an Ash Ketchum type team where
Yeah.
you'll get a fire, you'll get a water, you'll get a flying, you'll probably get a like an electric, and as a result, I feel like it can make a lot of the run throughs feel a bit samey.
Hmm.
But I feel like with if you pick the grass starter, because fires are much rarer, I think that automatically can make your team a little bit more varied.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Um, I think for me, I think that the um grass starter is a good shout because, as it was pointed out earlier, um the most common type of Pokemon is water. And it's also got a fair few good type advantages. I think the downside is that grass is weak to flying, and there are lots of flying types in the early game. And I think the thing that frequently leans me towards fire is possibly left over from the first generation, where if you didn't pick Charmander, the next fire type you could get wasn't until you were on Cinnabar Island, pretty much. There are not a lot of fire types around compared to grass and water.
Yeah.
Um, but I think grass is a strong starter, and I think you make a good point. Um, and I think, again, your point also goes back to the early generation where the sort of spread of different types was not hugely even.
Um, well, I think they did like fix that as time went by, but it's not something that I particularly like. It's never something that particularly like ever comes to mind for me, because I think it's partly that like by the time that you get into the later game, for the first generation, I did not, because I played it when I was like 8. I like wasn't like I already had like a full team at that point, so I didn't particularly notice that kind of Ghost and Psychic were like broken mechanically,
Mm.
because basically I don't know if you did this. I basically had a Pidgeot that was like level 100, and everything else was about level 4.
Yeah, yeah, I was exactly the same. So I'm weirdly cautious, or I was as a child. And in the first few like battles, my starter would handle it, and then I would assume that my starter was the only one that could do anything because the Pokemon I caught were the same level as the Pokemon I was battling, and I didn't want to send them out, even if they had a type advantage. So I would just use my starter for everything, and then um all of the other Pokemon were just kind of there to throw out while I healed or revived my starter. And because you didn't have the experience share until later on, until right at the end of the game, um, if at all, I just let everything else faint. I would keep it with me till it evolved, and then it would go in the PC. Um, and what I would do is I'd catch a bunch of the highest level Pokemon I could find in Victory Road, and then hope that they could withstand enough of the Elite Four's attacks for me to revive my starter, and then revive them all after I defeated one, and just do the same. And those games were so broken that I could do that. I never had to bother to strategize. When the games got a bit better in terms of how they actually functioned, I didn't know what to do. And it was usually the time I would start using a different Pokemon on my team, it'd be, oh no, I'm in a corner. This is the only thing left. And then it would surprise me by actually not sucking. Um, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I will keep this on my team then. Maybe I will seek this out next time. Um, and it was a very sort of long and roundabout way of figuring out that you're supposed to strategize, um, rather than just fire blast or hyper beam your way through the entire game.
Mm. Um,
um,
well,
yeah.
I had a similar thing. Like I say, I distinctly remember having like a very highly over leveled Pidgeot, and then I was in Cinnabar Islands, the mansion, and I think I even got lost in there. But anyway, for some reason I was like stuck, and um, oh, that was it. I think it was Seafoam Islands, and I could not work out how to, how to like get the boulders to move. and my Pidgeot run out of PP. So I had to
Mm-hmm.
like slowly, and I didn't have any escape ropes because I was like, what's the point of them? So I had to have about 100 battles where I slowly got my Pidgeot to struggle its way to dying, so I could finally get out of Seafoam Islands. But yes, I could not say that I was clever enough at the game to be able to notice how broken it was. In fact, again, I know I've told you this story before. Right, this is how stupid of a kid I was. Right, again, remember this kid went on to do a master's degree, so you know that says more about the level of master's degrees than it does about my intelligence. Right, I actually restarted Pokemon twice. Firstly, because right, and this one's the more embarrassing one. I couldn't figure out how to get out of Pallet Town.
Amazing.
Right.
Because I mean, it's right there on the screen. There's one exit that I have duplicated because it does not fit in a white screen. It's really easy to see.
Well, I'm not like I can't remember exactly what it was, but I'm pretty sure that I took the instruction of don't go in the long grass very literally.
Very seriously,
So
yeah.
as a result, I was like, I'm stuck, and I like didn't bother going on Pokemon again for like maybe 3-4 months because I was like, what's the point of this game where you just got to walk around the town and you're not allowed to go in the grass?
I mean, I had the opposite approach to Pokemon where I thought so you know how the bottom of Pallet Town connects to Cinnabar via the ocean, but you can't just surf from Pallet to Cinnabar. You have to go all the way round, and you only get surf in Fuchsia or somewhere similar, and then you go through the Seafoam Islands to Cinnabar and then up north to Pallet. Um, I was convinced that if I could get a Pokemon with Surf when the SS Anne left, I could follow it, and there would be like a whole hidden bit of game that no one had ever played apart from me. Because it didn't occur to me that like, why would anyone bother to develop that? But everyone was talking about, you know, Mew being hidden under a truck and stuff, and there being secret bits of the game to the extent that I thought there was lots to be uncovered when there very much was not. And I remember like spending a long time getting a Pokemon with Surf, trading it to the game where I wanted to attempt to do it, and then having like not getting any further than the SS Anne while I got another game way past that point, traded over a Pokemon with Surf, and then it didn't occur to me until I was there trying to do it that you can't use Surf outside of battle without enough gym badges, which you don't have by the time the SS Anne leaves. And I spent all that time convinced I could follow the SS Anne and see like a whole new bit of the game. I thought I could follow it to Johto
Yeah,
and play Pokemon Gold on my Pokemon Red cartridge.
yeah. I mean,
And I was wrong.
I don't know why they've not stuck that in the remakes because if you look at the map, there is like an element where the SSN obviously like goes off, but we're locked off.
Yeah.
But that again, I know I've told you this story before, but again, I've not told the internet this story. Right. The other time that I restarted Pokemon was because I came out of the SSN and the SSN like sails away, and I was like, oh no, I've basically got a game over there. Like, what else can I possibly do? I had to go on the SSN. So I restarted the game again, and I was like, right, this time I won't let the SSN leave. And then I spent hours on the SSN, being like, what do I do? What do I do? How do I stop this shit from going away? Like I say, that child went on to get a master's degree, so I sometimes surprise myself with my own stupidity. So we've got some more Bulbasaur facts, which is according to Stadium, the bulb-like pouch on its back grows larger as it ages. The pouch is filled with numerous seeds, which to me sounds like it gets a dad bod.
Yeah, which I think that makes sense because in the first generation, they're all little chunky boys, weren't they?
Mm. I mean, that I
Um,
don't know if you're the same, but like I feel like the first generation, a lot of the first generation, um, you could have made a bit of an argument, not for all of them, that they like Bulbasaur almost feels like if they naturally aged, they would end up becoming Venusaur.
because I mean, there was that episode of the show with an old Trico where it was like evolution does not equal age. You can evolve at the right level, but like you don't need to evolve to get
Mm.
old. Um, but yeah, I think that makes sense because I think evolution, the way it works in Pokemon is like in the games, it's about leveling up and whatever other things you need to do to trigger the evolution. But in the game, it's like three Magnemite got too close together,
Mm.
and it does feel like it's a natural progression for a Bulbasaur for its bulb to grow to start to flower and then to become the big massive palm tree that
Mm.
it is on Venusaur. And yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there. I reckon a Bulbasaur would stay a Bulbasaur if like it didn't get enough sunlight,
Mm.
that sort of thing, and its bulb didn't get to sprout properly.
Yeah. Well, I've actually got two head cannons for
All
Pokemon,
right.
um, and these are them. So two of the things that always winds me up is that first of all, so this happens if you're like a fan of the cards. So I'm gonna see if I'm gonna find one at random. Um, um, so the cards have got like levels on them. So I've just picked up
Okay.
Dragonite level 45. Now I'm not entirely sure what level a Dragonite evolves at, but I want to
I'm
say it's
pretty sure it's 55
yes. But well,
because
this is where my head cannon comes in because people are like, how can you have like a level 45 Dragonite? I'm of the opinion that level a Dragonite levels up at 55 for you, the player character,
yeah.
and
Okay.
each person would have a different like level that it would. So like Lance has got like lower level
He
Dragonite,
does, yeah.
but he's a Dragon Master, so he's got the
That makes
potential
sense.
to have like lower leveled ones.
So I guess that explains why Team Rocket thinks they can force Pokemon to evolve sooner if
Mm-hmm.
they've seen really accomplished Pokemon trainers evolve a Pokemon earlier because they happen to be such good trainers, they get their Pokemon there sooner. That explains why that was their goal in Gold and Silver.
So that mate, we're in the first episode and we're already iconic in the Pokemon community. Um, uh, like, follow, share, subscribe, etc., etc., etc.
And
for
maybe
more,
win a toy.
and maybe win a toy in one of two toys.
One of two toys.
Um, but my other headcanon is so I'm gonna get the Pokedex back up.
Hmm.
I'm gonna see if I can like find a ridiculous one dead quick. There we go. We'll go with this one. For some time after its birth, it grows by gaining nourishment from the seed on its back. Or, in fact, we'll go with a strange seed was planted on its back at birth. Plant sprouts and grows with. Right, it feels like they're getting lazy because we've already heard that. But I'm of again. This is another one of my headcanons because there's loads of. That's just like an example of one that's like
Yeah.
a bit ridiculous. Because like, what are they basing that on? I don't think that the Pokedex is necessarily written by Pokemon professors. I think that some of the so yeah, I've just thought of one specifically. It's like the Charizard can melt rocks at like 1,000 degrees.
Yeah.
And it's like that sounds ridiculous. That's because I think that some of the Pokedex entries have been written by the child protagonist.
Yeah,
Uh,
like the Pokemon professor has said to a 10-year-old, go out and do this. And the 10-year-old's been like, well, tell you what, actually, my Charizard can melt rocks, so I'm writing it down and sending it to the professor. Fuck you. And
yeah,
that's. It's like, yeah, well, my Machamp can punch a hole in a mountain. Ugh.
yeah. But I think it also explains the reason why the Pokédex doesn't get an entry until after you've caught the Pokemon. Because
Yeah.
if it's like the player character writes the entry, it's like, well, it makes sense that they would only be able to write the entry after they've spent some time with that Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah. So again, there's number 2 of head Trubbish red. Let's see if I can say it correctly. Trubbish head cannon. Right. So the bulb-like pouch on its back. Oh, we've read that. The seed on its back is filled with nutrients. The seed grows steadily larger as its body grows. Have you got anything that you want to, any like guesses for the nutrients that it might have?
I I hope it's delicious. Like, not in a way that would hurt the Bulbasaur, but like you know, there's just the seeds come out and then the Bulbasaur is fine and a new seed starts to flourish. The same way, like, you can pick an apple off a tree without the tree having an issue. Um, and you know that like Pokemon Cafe game, that free to play game? Um, I think it would be cool uh if that had like, the plants. You could have like a Bulbasaur seed salad, you know?
I mean,
Like in a way that does not hurt the Bulbasaur, obviously. Um, but like I feel like when a game is based when the Pokemon is based on a plant, you should that like there should be you should like pick fruit off it and you can eat the fruit.
yeah.
I think that would be a cool thing to do. And if we know it's full of nutrients, that implies A, someone has eaten it, and B, they have noticed a positive effect after eating it.
True.
So
Very true. Bulbasaur Prime energy drinks coming soon.
no, oh.
Um, okay, so we've got the next one is it carries a seed on its back from birth. As it grows older, the seed also grows larger. I feel like they're getting lazy now.
I think with the first generation ones, they did just kind of reiterate what's in the first Pokédex, just because um, by the time the later games come out, you're already familiar with them. The starters don't appear in the Pokédex until quite late in the game. Um, so I feel like there wasn't much motivation to update the Pokédex entry very much. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. Again, it's all just nutrients stored on back. Whoever wrote this potentially had a nutrient or a back fetish.
Yeah.
Right, but Ruby and Sapphire, they've changed it up, but it's got the same entry for both Ruby and Sapphire, which is again, is that better or lazier? I don't know.
I don't know.
Um, Bulbasaur can be seen napping in bright sunlight. There is a seed on its back. By soaking up, right, we're back to backs.
Yeah.
By soaking
Sun's
up,
rays growing larger.
progressively large. Again, like this must have been some work experience person who wrote that. they were like, yeah.
I
Do we
feel
need
like
a
the
new one for
child,
Sapphire?
the child that wrote about Bulbasaur didn't spend a lot of time with its Bulbasaur. It was just like, there's a seed on its back. It sits down. Leave me alone.
It's like this 383. I ain't got time.
Yeah.
Um, uh, again, fire red and leaf green. We're back to plant seed on its back. Right from the day it's born. The plant sprouts and grow. Right, here we go. Right, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum have got. For some time after its birth, it grows by gaining nourishment from the seed on its back, which to me says it's eating the seed on its back. What do you think? Like it's a packed lunch?
I think this goes back to like the chlorophyll thing. Like it gains nourishment from the seed, and the seed soaks up the sunlight.
I think that's fair.
That's how I interpret that. Because if
Okay.
it's like, oh, it doesn't need to eat food because it like soaks up the sunlight through its back. And then in the that implies that like little teeny tiny baby Bulbasaurs don't have their little pointy teeth yet, so they can't eat anything else. So they've got to rely on the sunshine.
I honestly
And this is what it
thought,
goes back to like a Bulbasaur is likely to have stunted growth if it's like kept underground. I think that would be like a good heartbreaking story
yeah,
to have in the anime. Have someone find a Bulbasaur that was like born in a cave and didn't realize it was supposed to be in the sunlight, so it's all tiny and weak,
yeah,
and then it gets like taken out and like a good grass trainer exposes it to the sunlight and nurses it to become a big strong Bulbasaur,
for only
and then it
£2
evolves
a
into the
month.
fattest Ivysaur there's ever been.
Yeah, yeah, for only £2 a month, you can get this Bulbasaur its own grass trainer, who can who can help it to grow teeth. For it will not
Yeah.
have to it will not have to suckle on its bulb for nutrients. Did we mention that it has a bulb on its back? I feel like this advert was done by the work experience boy. Right, we're at black and white because Heart Gold and Soul Silver is just more about seed on its back. Sometimes after its birth, it grows again.
That's exactly the same. That is the exact same thing we just said.
X and
I
Y.
feel like they're not going to be that different.
Well, you know what? You might be surprised. With on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they actually went with can be seen napping in bright sunlight, so they changed it up there. And then we got Sword and Shield, which is more about plant seed on its back. While it is young, let's see what's going to happen. Because I've got dyslexia, so I can't read the sentence ahead before I've read it out loud. Are we gonna Are we gonna be surprised? It uses the nutrients that are stored in the seed on its back. For some time after its birth, it grows after taking, and then I feel like the work experience boy must have left because this Pokemon has no Pokedex entries in Scarlet and Violet.
Mm-hmm.
He must have got a job on
Well,
Indeed.
hopefully, you get the job of backdating the Pokedex entries in Scarlet and Violet, and you can come up with something more exciting for the Bulbasaur entry.
Oh, believe me, I'll do something like it gets nutrition from the bulb that is on its spine.
Spine, oh,
Um,
shaking things up.
which is placed there, or planted, if you will, from the moment it leaves the natal sac.
Ooh, okay, that's quite a graphic Pokedex entry. But I mean, it gives us the information that the other ones do, but also makes you think about Venusaur genitals a little bit.
I must admit, as I was saying it, right, it made me go, if they've all got a bulb on their back, well, by this point it's like it's Venusaurs that are banging, right? How's it going to do that, given that
Well,
they've both got trees on their back? Like, what position could they possibly do that's
I mean,
comfortable?
hedgehogs manage and T-Rexes managed, so I'm sure Venusaurs can manage.
That's true.
I thought you were going to say, like, how does it push the little Bulbasaur out
Now, egg mate.
with the big bulb on its back? And I thought because the Pokedex entry says so frequently that the bulb is planted on its back that like I don't think the Venusaur like plants it the way that you or I would plant something. But I feel like maybe as the Bulbasaur is born, like the seed that becomes the Bulbasaur bulb is like the placenta and it comes out and settles on the back and like burrows in a little bit and that's how the bulb is planted.
Well, that image has definitely taken Venusaur genitals out of my mind, but I feel like yours was almost more graphic, so thank
It
you,
definitely was,
but
but
not
you
thank you.
started it.
It's true. Right, well, we've gone through the Pokédex, so we've got the next thing. I feel like we've already covered it a little bit, which is its connection to the anime, and you know, Bulbasaur's one of the main dogs in it.
Yeah.
You know, one of Ash's original team. It's very protective. It, if I'm right, it leaves to protect a bunch of Pokemon. It leaves to protect a bunch of grass type Pokemon in a forest.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm pretty sure like Erica's got one as well. There's but yeah, there's a lot of Bulbasaur in the anime, but I feel like it is predominantly taken up by Ash's Pokemon, which is historically, well, famously a Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
So we've got here as well, May also owns a Bulbasaur. So as part of this podcast going on, because we intend to go through the whole Pokédex, I'm like, beyond Johto, my knowledge becomes patchy. So I will have, like, so I didn't actually know that May had a Bulbasaur. So as we carry on, I should be able to kind of fill up my Ruby and Sapphire onwards knowledge. Because I don't know about you, but I kind of fell out of Pokemon around about Ruby and Sapphire, and then I came back on at Platinum. So I do have like a bit of a gap in my knowledge there.
That's fair. I kept going through Ruby and Sapphire, and I played them, but I think I was less engaged with Black and White, which I understand now was a poor choice because I hear a lot of people raving about Black and White, but it is also the generation that yeah, I kind of was least connected to. So maybe I'll give them another go sometime. Yeah.
We've also got here that Shauna owns a Bulbasaur.
I don't even know who Shauna is.
Well, let's get them up. I'm gonna get a picture of them up so people can see in the chat. But also, if you are listening to this when we release the actual podcast, do a Google. You know, So this here is Shauna, who has got buns and 3 bow ties, which I very much admire. And Shauna is a recurring character. Is the rival of Serena. Are you aware of Serena?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. Right, you're all caught up. Back to Bulbasaur though. There were also in Mewtwo Strikes Back, which again is something that we've discussed about doing on the Patreon about us doing some stuff around the films. I think that could be quite cool for us to do. But again, we want to do it where if these sound exciting to you, you can like join the Patreon and like let us know what type of content you would like us to make, and we can like cater it to you. So we had intended on this being like a full segment about us talking about its impact in the anime, but I feel like we've kind of spoke about it throughout. So let's move on to the next section, which is the Smogon rating. Now, Kirsty, are you aware of Smogon?
Yes, but if you would like to describe it anyway, for the sake of anyone listening who doesn't, please be my guest.
So, Smogon is it's for people who do competitive Pokemon battling, which is not me at all. right. Like I very rarely think I'm a very good Pokemon battler due to the fact that, 8-year-old me thought that a level 90 Pidgeot could take on the Elite Four, when in fact, actually, I couldn't get out of Seafoam Island.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a way of people who do competitive Pokemon battling online kind of view these Pokemon. So I thought that would be worth us at least considering, and then we could say whether or not we agreed. So I'm just going to get that up. So there it is there. Bulbasaur just having a lovely little time. I like the animations on this website. Again, if you're listening to the podcast, feel free to Google this stuff. Or don't. I'm not your boss. But Bulbasaur is a potent sweeper in the LC, which I think means that it's not been leveled. Yeah, the little cup. So for Pokemon that haven't been leveled, and it's got HP 45, attack 49, defense 45, defense 49, special attack 65, and speed, which is 45, which they're all in red, which to me says it's not very good.
Yeah, because I feel like none of the original starters are. I feel like because they are the first Pokemon in an evolution line of 3, they are not the stronger ones. I think that's why it's good in the Little Cup, because it's for baby Pokemon. It's for the first Pokemon in a line. It's for the one you wouldn't actually use in competitive battling because it needs to grow into the final form that is going to, um, be the powerful Pokemon you want on your team. But as far as those kind of Little Cup, small, unevolved Pokemon go, solid start.
Yeah.
Solid start.
Yeah, I agree. And so we were gonna sign off all of these. So we've just gotten to the end of the Bulbasaur episode, and we wanted to give each of these a talking Trubbish rating, because we've now seen what Smogon make of it. And if anybody knows, if anybody's opinions matter, it's angry competitive people on the internet. For me, I'd say, because of nostalgia, I'm gonna give Bulbasaur 8 Trubbishes out of 10.
I think I would agree with that. And again, I also agree that it's because of nostalgia, and also because Bulbasaur was just so damn cute in Detective Pikachu. Like it was just adorable, and I feel like it just puts joy in the world, and I feel like an 8 out of 10 is a good score for Bulbasaur.
Yeah. Again, I'm aware that this is the debut episode, so I'm giving myself a bit of room to move forward, because
yeah.
But I feel like 8 is respectable.
Yeah, 8 is definitely respectable, and it's definitely high up because it's one with a lot of fond memories attached to it in the games and in the show. I feel like I'm the kind of person who doesn't have many negative opinions of Pokemon, because I'm a silly sentimental sausage. However, Bulbasaur still gets high up there because I've had it on my team a whole bunch. I thought it had a really good character in the story, in the show, because in the early generations, I think they cared enough to give the teams a good sense of individuality in the Pokemon, even if the quality of that fluctuated throughout the seasons. So yeah,
Yeah.
8 out of 10 for Bulbasaur.
There you go. 8 out of 10. Um, and that there. Oh, one final thing. Do you have any hot takes on Bulbasaur?
I don't think I do. I think Bulbasaur is a well enough discussed Pokemon that's fairly consistent. I think if I had a Bulbasaur, I would like it to be if I was a trainer in the Pokemon world and my partner was a Bulbasaur, what I would like to do with my grass types is have like a grass type restaurant where like their ability with the sunshine would help fresh vegetables to grow. The ones that have things like seeds and fruit growing on them can be a part of the food, again, in a way that doesn't harm them and they can be proud of it. And that's what I'd want. I'd want my Bulbasaur to have the most delicious, most nutritious seeds, and people would come from all over to see our little salad cafe.
Yeah. Well, as we know, because of that intern at Nintendo that couldn't be bothered about writing about anything other than nutrition and backs and vitamins. That is potentially a good business venture. If you went on Dragon's Den with that, Dragonite's Den.
Dragonite's Den.
Yeah, I think they'd be in. Right. So should we draw it to a natural close? I feel like the only hot take I've got is that whilst Bulbasaur is very good, if it wasn't the number one in the Pokedex, like I'd be alright with that. I know some people are like fiercely adamant that being number one in the Pokedex makes it amazing, but one, I don't think it needs it, and two, like if it was another Pokemon, that'd be fine.
Yeah, I don't think the order matters that much. I think like they are in the order that you're likely to encounter them roughly, or like the order you're likely to encounter the first one. But then obviously Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle are on the same table. You don't know which one you're going to pick up first when you're just looking at three identical Pokeballs. They are just in alphabetical order. Like that's why it's number one. If it had been called Saurabulb, Charmander would have been number one.
Yeah, very true. But luckily, it was Bulbasaur because the bulb was planted on its back from birth. And it right. So yeah. So that there was the first episode. What we thought we'd do is we'd have like a 5-minute break. Potentially be able to kind of like chat with you guys in the comments and stuff like that if you wanted to do that, and then we'd do the same format for Ivysaur. So that took us about an hour, just under an hour. So I'm imagining that Ivysaur hopefully be around about the same, and Venusaur be around about the same. So we're on par for finishing on time, unlike most of my projects, which often overrun.
I think that makes sense. I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong. I feel like the middle evolutions might not take as long as the two either side, but
maybe
I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Well, I mean, they're not as prominent in the show, are they?
Yeah, they're not as prominent in the show. I think they're not really as prominent. It's not that they're not prominent in the games, but it's just they exist in the games, but they're not cute like the starter first one, and they're not the most powerful like the final evolution. They're just kind of there for you to be finding your feet. It's fine.